Lacey Valentin, the shields are down.
Secondary shields, Captain.
Go full impulse on Mark 320.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
Full throttle, Mr. Valentin.
There's nothing else I can do.
The Romulans are still attacking.
I'll send a message to the Romulans.
It's been an honor to serve with you.
Captain, it was an honor serving with you.
From the ship!
I work with children.
Well, hello to another episode of
Michael's Cabinet of Curiosities.
HYPERFIXATIONS.
HYPERFIXATIONS.
I'm pretty sure that banging on the table is going to be so distracting to our friends that are only coming here through sound. I am terribly sorry.
That was the baby.
Shut
I love how in the podcast version, no one's gonna know what the heck the baby is unless they watch it.
We have a baby, plastic baby, by the way, here that Adrian is.
The baby.
Adrian has fallen in love with for some reason. So, hello again. This is another episode of
Michael's Cabinet of Hyperfixations.
And as you can see per our decoration of today, we're going to be talking about
Star Trek.
Yes. See, we don't have the money to do the decoration for actual Star Trek, but we do have a lot of Star Wars stuff. And as you can see, this episode is titled, I am turning my roomie into a Trekkie, because that is exactly what has been happening with Adrian this time. Adrian, what do you tell us a bit about?
I have betrayed my younger self.
Please,
my
context.
younger self is crawling in the pit of despair.
In my skin?
No, in the pit of despair.
It's not crawling in
My skin.
Come on. Okay.
It's Copyright.
Damn it! Damn you, copyright. I love you, Chester Bennington. From here to wherever you are. So
I have no idea what just happened, what you just said.
Chester Bennington?
Oh, I thought you were talking about copyright. I thought you were like, copyright. And I'm like,
no.
why would you do that?
I do not respect copyright laws. Personally, that is not an honest position. Okay. Adrian, please, some context.
I never grew up watching Star Trek. I only grew up watching Star Wars. I love me Star Wars. I've recently been watching more Star Trek than I have been watching Star Wars. So at this point, the Ahsoka show is out. I've only seen 3 episodes. And it's been several weeks that show's been out. And I'm pretty sure I've seen like 12 Star Trek episodes, plus the movie, plus some other extra stuff. Way more than Star Wars at the moment.
I'm pretty sure if you're watching this episode to begin with, you probably know what Star Trek is. You're going to be fidgeting with that the entire episode, right? I knew that.
Move on.
I knew that. Probably you already know what Star Trek is, but for those non-initiated, Star Trek is a franchise of sci-fi space opera created by Gene Roddenberry back in the 60s, if I am not mistaken. The original show was a moderate success, lasted for 3 seasons, and then it got cancelled. However, it developed such a cult following, basically inventing the modern definition of fandom, to the point that the show got revived for a series of movies, starting with the motion picture and ending with, if I am not mistaken, The Undiscovered Country, or The Final Frontier. I believe it was The Final Frontier. And then the show got revived for, well, basically a second show, the one that is personally the one that I introduced, like it was my introduction to Star Trek, and I also made sure that
It's
it was
also my introduction to Star Trek.
introduction to Star Trek, which is The Next Generation, which aired in the late 80s up until the middle 90s. The show stars Jean-Luc Picard, played by Patrick Stewart, who's, by the way better than Captain Kirk. Sorry, not sorry. Also
Not sorry.
Stars other great fan favorites as, damn it, her name. Marina Sirtis as Deanna Troi, Jonathan Frakes as Willem Riker, and Brent Spinner as Data, for example.
Data is the best.
Data is the digital best. So, that is the show that Adrian has been watching so far. By the way, Adrian mentioned 12 episodes. I'm gonna make a quick disclaimer here.
Maybe 12. I don't know. It's around
He's
that number.
very bad at
I'm
watching
very.
shows.
I was gonna say I'm very slow at watching shows. I grew up watching movies rather than shows many of the times, so I'm very slow watching shows.
He doesn't binge watch shows. I personally binge watch, I think, everything that I see, which is why I actually get intimidated by longer shows because I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to binge watch 27 episodes in a single day in a single
I
city.
still haven't finished. What was it? Mouse and Murder from Dimension 20, and I was watching it a while, like last year, and I still haven't finished it.
We also started Castlevania a few months ago.
We haven't finished
You
Castlevania.
have like left in on episode 6. Of
Yeah,
season three.
and now freaking they have Castlevania Nocturne.
Interesting pronunciation.
How do you pronounce it?
I just pronounce it like Nocturne. Castlevania Nocturne. I love this guy.
I like Nocturne better. It sounds more exotic.
Nocturne.
Nocturne.
But is that what accent is that?
It's Adrian's accent. It's my accent.
Fair enough. Point is, Star Trek is a franchise that I know that Star Wars is more in the mainstream, although I wouldn't call Star Trek niche. It's not niche by
I don't think
any way.
it's not niche, but compared to Star Wars, in a way. Because here's the thing. As a kid, me watching Star Trek now, as a kid, I would not have liked Star Trek at all. Because it's a lot more, political intrigue, and there's a lot more of, like, deeper themes and stuff. Which, I mean, Star Wars has very deep themes and stuff like that, but, there's a lot more action surrounding Star Wars. It's more like, ooh, lightsabers, Force, and all that type of stuff, which is really cool. And Star Trek is a very, Star Wars is a dystopian universe in a way,
Pretty much.
and Star Trek is a utopian world. They both have very different conflicts.
By the way, he's saying Star Trek is a utopia. He hasn't got yet to Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine is gonna be a very interesting trip for everybody right here.
Yeah,
I think.
I'm excited for that one.
For anyone right there has seen Deep Space Nine, it is my favorite Star Trek show. For several reasons. It's had my favorite main character with Benjamin Sisko. It has Major Kira, Odo, Jadzia, Dax. Sorry, Jadzia is better than Ezri, but Ezri Dax is also very cool. Dr. Bashir, Chief O'Brien, the best character in the entire franchise. I can just geek out about Deep Space Nine for a good while. I'm not gonna do that as much because I don't want to spoil Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, please don't. I'm really excited for Deep Space Nine.
But to anyone out there that has only seen, I don't know, maybe the original series or maybe only the Kelvin trilogy movies, please make yourself a favor and watch at least TNG.
Yes,
at least TNG.
at the very least. Because before the series, all I really knew were the Kelvin trilogy movies.
By the way,
for those that don't know the Kelvin trilogy, it's 2009 Star Trek. They're on Chris Pine. Those type of movies directed by J.J. Abrams, except the last one wasn't directed by J.J. Abrams.
No, and it's coincidentally the
best
one.
one there. So
Coincidentally, right?
Well, actually, Into Darkness is actually freaking good.
Fuck off. Out of the three, Into Darkness is the worst. I am not a J.J. Abrams fan.
No, neither am I. The only movie that I really like that he's made is Mission Impossible 3.
I am going
that
to
I've
agree with
seen, because I have not seen Super 8, so I can't say anything about it.
I have seen Super 8. I like the first half, and then I believe the second half goes down. I think it goes kind of with that announcement that we were watching the other day of J.J. Abrams' filmography, that the guy really struggles with an ending and with trying to tie everything up. The entire mystery box thing and try to tie that up with a bigger theme. I don't think he has achieved that yet. J.J. Abrams, bro, I know this is not going to reach you, but if for some reason reaches you, I am not dissing you personally. I just think that what you did with Rise of Skywalker was a blasphemy, and with Into Darkness too. I still appreciate you as a filmmaker, though. I don't like Lost, however. Sorry, I don't, they don't call me.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's for different things for everyone. But basically, something that I want to say that J.J. Abrams did do well was introducing Star Trek to a bigger audience with the movies, the Kelvin trilogy, and two, the fact that the Kelvin trilogy was actually successful, even though the third one kind of underperformed, which caused the fact that there wasn't a fourth one and stuff, it did help to basically kickstart what would eventually become Star Trek Discovery. I know a lot of people, a lot of Star Trek fans, don't particularly like Discovery. Some of them do. I personally like it. I think it was doing things a bit different. I don't think the first 2 seasons are very much Star Trek. They're very much trying to imitate Star Trek by J.J. Abrams, which is more Star Wars. He even had said in an interview.
Yeah, he doesn't like Star Trek, which...
Exactly.
Like, why would you get someone who doesn't like the material to make the movie? Like
that is a whole thing.
That's a whole different thing.
The Witcher.
Oh my god.
That's a whole thing there. But yeah, at least he was able to popularize it enough that a new series got greenlit with Star Trek Discovery, and eventually the growing success of Star Trek Discovery made basically New Trek.
Oh yeah.
Like the new era of Trek, which includes...
I really want to watch Strange Worlds.
Same, Strange New Worlds.
I've heard it's really good.
Same, Strange New Worlds. I haven't seen that, by the way, yet. Lower Decks, which is amazing. It's awesome. I love Lower Decks. Picard, which season 1 I personally like. Again, doesn't feel like Star Trek that much. Season 2 on, I think it's a bit better. Season 2 particularly has the return of Q, and Q, I simp for Q. Q.
Every time Q has come in the show, I am just annoyed by him
because
so much.
Because you haven't seen the completely...
Just like, you're just a nuisance. And can you please get out of their way? Please.
He's very much like the Q in my life, by the way. He's very much... the Q in my life. But yeah, it's... what else? To try and get again into track, Star Trek as a franchise, the topics that it's trying to get are, as you said, different to
They're
those
very
Star
different.
Wars.
Like I remember like one of the latest episodes that I've watched. Like for example, there was that one episode where they go to like seemingly like the place is perfect, the planet is perfect, everyone gets along, and then like Wesley breaks one little rule and they're like, oh, death penalty, and just in that whole episode, they have themes of like capital punishment to what is like the ways a civilization views a god and all that type of stuff, and it was super, super interesting, and I was fascinated. Like it was such a good episode. And then there's episodes like The Traveler, which you kind of talked about in the dinosaur episode a little bit, where the Traveler comes on. Watch the previous episode.
Please.
Where the Traveler comes on, and then eventually they're like, "Oh, hey, we don't know what you are." It's like, well, you humans haven't been interesting till now, so now we're actually venturing to make contact with you. That episode, like I remember when I saw it, I literally sent him a message. I was like, I think I viewed one of the most important pieces of fiction that I've ever witnessed in my life. It was so freaking good. It just got me thinking a lot of different things. Trying to think of other episodes. I'm drawing a blank, but they're just all so freaking good. Like the only one only other one that kind of comes to my head is actually like the weakest episode a little bit, where it's like the whole like the guy from the tribe. Although there's very interesting topics on there. On
episode 3, I believe. Is after Naked Lunch. The Naked Now is the what has been deemed the racist episode. I don't remember its title right now. It's episode 3.
I think it's the Naked Now, something like that.
No, the Naked Now is the one in which Data becomes horny and has sex with Tasha.
Oh, that's the one where like everyone's minds are being warped.
Yeah,
oh my god, when they travel to like 5 billion galaxies over.
That's the Traveler one.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so freaking cool. It's like, yo, we traveled so far. This is 100% uncharted territory. We don't even know how to get back. It was like, oh, why don't we stay here and explore? It's like, where do we report our explorations to? This is like, what are we gonna do? Explore and just tell them we already know. We need to share the information. Which I thought, but like even in that episode, which is like one of the weaker episodes, there were still some interesting like concepts. Like what I like about it is that a lot of their conflicts and all that stuff, they usually try to solve it diplomatically or and all that stuff. So it creates a different type of intrigue. Now, like there are times where there's action scenes and there's fight scenes and they're shooting phasers like crazy. But like those aren't the norm. It's more like the exception, because they always try like, hey, let's try to solve this in a way where like very diplomatically and like very much like if it's a different culture, okay, what does that culture like respond to? How do we get that culture to understand our culture, or like what our procedures and all this type of stuff? It is super freaking interesting. And honestly, like it's just, if one day, if we can just get closer every day to Star Trek world, I'll be happy. It's so freaking cool.
Yeah.
Technology, like there's like little like offshoot comments where like, oh yeah, you know that thing that the humans used to like struggle with, you know, like the cold and like the flu and stuff like that. I was like, oh yeah, no one does that anymore. It's really weird. And they're like, someone's like, I think I have a cold. It's like, no, that's not. You can't be having a cold. Like that doesn't exist anymore. Type of thing. I'm like, holy freaking crap. Holy freaking crap. To be that advanced.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, the vision for Gene Roddenberry when he created first show was basically that, was to create a society that we could aspire to.
Yeah. There's a lot about that show that I'm like, oh my God, I would inspire that way. It's so freaking cool.
It is the entire, you know, the original show had stuff like the first interracial kiss on screen, for example, in TV, had women on the bridge, even like pilot episode, even though it has aged a lot, the pilot episode, first episode, it does have Una as the first mate of Captain Pike. Even though Captain Pike acknowledges and says something like, oh, I'm not used to having women on the bridge, because, you know, it was a thing made in the 60s, it still shows, I think, at least for the era, trying to depict something different. The entire crew of the TOS era, which is has Chekhov, who's from the Soviet Union, you know, it's not in timeline, the Soviet Union never collapsed in that timeline, being a part of the bridge with Kirk, who's an American. I believe he's like Southern American. I mean, not from South America, but like from the South in
America.
America. Yeah,
I was
no.
like,
Kirk is very gringo, bro. But yeah, having that, and for example, was already, especially for the times, was already manifesto. Because let's make it very real. A fictional work does not exist isolated. The fictional work, even though Star Trek is set on the future, it is very much an answer to its current era.
Yeah.
60s, in the 60s, there was the Cold War, there was the, you know, nuclear tension, and that is kind of what the original Star Trek was trying to respond to, creating enemies that were sort of a Cold War with Federation, like the Klingon and the Romulans. Particularly the Klingons, who are very much basically a metaphor for the Russians in the Cold War. It was basically the original idea for the Klingons. Same with the entire the entire theme of the original TOS show being, it is like it is a cowboy, it's a Western, it's a Western story of like bringing civilization into space. It has some, and if you want to go very deep on them, some colonizing themes, but I don't think they were taken from like a bad side, from like a bad heart. It was more like, oh, let's show what we can become. We as a society can overcome. A lot of the planets that they visited in the TOS were more explicitly, even more explicit than the TNG, metaphors for actual conflicts in the regular world. Like you had like the Roman Empire world that was very much a religious control and capitalism, you know, the metaphor, the world of the dudes that were divided in one half black and the other half white, and they were in a racial conflicts against the guy that were one half black, the other half white, like the reverse. Yeah. And it was a very absurd concept because that was the point, that was the idea. The idea is that they got there and you could see basically a safe to work, if you want, safe for work, reflection of the racial tensions of the era. And then TNG has evolved. TNG is not dealing necessarily with, more explicit, you know, conflicts in small civilizations. It's dealing more with geopolitics. TNG goes very much into how societies evolve, develop, and how they interact with each other. As you were saying, how cultures clash with each other. During the 90s, the 80s and 90s, what was happening? Globalization started to happen. The Federation in the TOS era is a small power, small rising power that is still exploring and expanding its power, expanding its reach. In the TNG era, it is already an established power, one of the biggest of the galaxy. So its role is not so much exploration as it is more trying to coexist with other powers of the moment and trying to find a way to basically achieve peace, to live in peace, even with all the tensions that having a lot of people with big guns in the same room can create. It goes very geopolitical, particularly from season 2 on. And I find that amazing. TNG also introduces the Borg in season 3. I am not going to talk too much about the Borg because I don't want to spoil you. But the Borg were created with the idea of basically addressing colonialism as a whole. Because the Federation, as this group of different planets, different worlds, different societies that have decided to band together, to collaborate, to cooperate, and achieve something better, it is an ideal to strive to, at least in the TOS. TNG is still an ideal, but it also examines the different implications of what is happening on Earth right in that moment, which kind of imitated what the Federation was going through, specifically globalization. The internet, the more a more interconnected Earth, which can help with collaboration, can create a better future by sharing knowledge, by sharing technology, by sharing inventions and discoveries, but it also can have the effect of erasing the cultures that they are coming from. You know, a lot of countries are getting westernized, are getting more imitating the US in the modern era. And that is something that TNG addresses with a lot of the conflicts on some episodes, and also addresses this very particularly with the Borg, who has been called the evil reflection of the Federation. Whereas the Federation tries to collaborate and tries to respect native cultures, the Borg try to assimilate them and make them a single unity. I think it's also not a coincidence that TNG is also a show that introduces a Klingon officer on the bridge, on Worf, because a lot of the conflict in some of the Worf-centric episodes have to do with the fact that Worf has some cultural traits and cultural practices and rituals that do not align with the Federation. In some of the lighter ones, it's more like, oh, how I'm gonna be able to go to this sacred planet to do a pilgrimage. But in some others, specifically, my morals and the morals of my people, my culture, are in direct clash with the morals of the Federation. I have sworn to serve the Federation because I'm a member of Starfleet, but I am also a member of the Klingon race. So what should I do? There's a lot of very interesting Worf-centric episodes that are around that, and I think it is on purpose. I think it is a show that directly addresses not only, let us strive to be this, but also now that we are striving to be this, let's also address the conflicts that happen when you achieve this. Because it is not easy. It is not a simple, straight road.
Yeah. It's a show that's aged incredibly well. Like, I feel like, obviously, I didn't watch it back then.
No. How old are you, Adrian?
I am 87.
Sure.
But it's not, it feels like one of those shows that, like, is relevant then. Rewatching it now feels like a lot more, like, it feels, I don't want to say more relevant, because I mean, I'm speaking from a very limited point of view, but like, it's just super relevant now as well, which is something that really intrigues me about it. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm like, holy crap, this is so good, is because it's not like it's just a show that where you watch like, okay, that was fun and made for the times type of thing, but it's a show that like reflects today and a lot of stuff that we are still going through. And so, and just like a lot of other things, it's really interesting. It's really cool how they crafted a show with such deep topics and themes, yet still find a way to make it very, very fun and very, like, cause it's also fun to watch. There are literally episodes where, like, yeah, they'll have some themes, but it's literally just Picard being like, you know what, I need a vacation. I'm going to become a detective in my favorite novel. I'm going to use a holodeck to project everything. And then it's like, oh, wait, crap, we can actually die here. But, like, it's done in a super fun way. Like, it's not like, oh, virtual technology. It's just like, oh, crap, we're going to die. All right, I guess we got to actually be detectives and, like, figure this case out.
No, yeah, and for
it's really fun.
I think something that intimidates
and
a lot of people.
Data's also, like,
incredible.
Data's funny and just great. I mean, everyone has a sense of humor.
I think, and this is like something that intimidates a lot of people, is that they see Star Trek as these, okay, like, let's put, your average Joe or your average Jane that goes to see the Kelvin movies. And it's like, oh, I like it, it's fun, it's actiony, so let's watch the shows. And then when they hear about the shows, it's like either TOS being very hammy or TNG, and you see Patrick Stewart being super stern and super serious and being like, yeah, so philosophy and civilization and society. And they sometimes get intimidated because it's 7 seasons of that. But that is something that people should know more. Star Trek is fun AF.
Yeah,
it goes
it's a sci-fi. It's one of those shows where I watch things and I'm like, even though sometimes it can go really deep, it doesn't shy away from being hammy at times and being campy.
It is very hammy sometimes.
Yeah, but that's like the charm of it. You know, it keeps it fun. It's not just this boring like philosophy. You're not in there to.
It's not a lecture.
It's not a lecture. You're going through a journey with these characters who you really grow to love. But yeah, like it's like, you know, I started with the movies because I saw the first one years after it came out because I didn't see it in theaters.
With the first one, you don't know, talking about the motion picture, talking about the Star Trek 2009 by J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
Okay.
I saw that one. I saw Into Darkness. I don't remember much of the first one. I just remember old Spock was there because, you know, timelines converged.
Which is, by the way, why it's called the Kelvin trilogy. Like, basically, just so people know, it's not just an alternate canon. It is very much a part of the same multiverse. Like, the Star Trek by J.J. Abrams it's kickstarted by a time travel that happens after the Dominion War
Where
era.
Thor is a captain.
Not that.
No, he is a captain.
Oh, Thor. I thought you
Thor.
were talking Marvel, but no, you're really talking about, Chris
yeah,
Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth.
Who's the captain of the USS Kelvin, which is why it's named the Kelvin trilogy.
Who gives birth to Chris.
I don't think Chris
He
gives birth.
doesn't give birth, but his wife in the movie gives birth. So Chris, and then his bowels.
It'd be
produce
very weird
Chris.
to see Chris Hemsworth giving birth to Chris Pine. Honestly, I'm pretty sure there's someone in the audience
It's
that
a
wants to
circle
watch
of
that.
life.
Fucking sick person. I now kind of want to watch that.
You can watch that on your own.
Please create fan art of Chris Hemsworth giving birth to Chris Pine. The more explicit one is gonna win something. I don't know what they're gonna win. Michelle's looking at me with a very disturbed face right
If
now.
they're gonna win something, it's your money.
Okay, sounds fair.
You're the one paying for them.
Hashtag Aurum. Remember that.
No, we are not doing that. If I see
We are.
any of that, I will immediately report it.
No,
to mess with them.
I am going to protect you. Don't worry. I'm going to avoid that.
You know what? It can also protect you. NordVPN. This video is not sponsored.
Yeah, I don't think we should be saying that name if we're not sponsored. But I did use the NVPN, and I don't know if I should say the name. And it's pretty useful. So if you guys
For what? I don't need to know. I don't need to know
very
anymore.
legal, very safe to work reasons, kids.
I don't need to know.
For very good things. For only to search for like prayers and stuff.
I thought you were gonna be like, oh, because of work. Because usually when you work and you have a work computer, sometimes they give you a VPN, so you can kind of like my job with some things. Whenever I log into like a work website, I have a VPN with. Never mind.
Moving on.
Moving on.
So yeah, basically post Dominion War basically post all of the shows in Star Trek. Not all of them, Lower Decks after that, but Picard's also after that. Never mind, I'm going way too much into tangents. The Romulus sun explodes and it creates a supernova that destroys Romulus. That supernova is portrayed first on the Star Trek 2009 as the event that basically takes the I don't remember the name of the ship, but the crew of Nero, who's the captain of the Romulan ship, the antagonist of the first Star Trek of the Kelvin trilogy, catapults him into the past, and also old Spock, who is the same Spock that we see in the TOS and all the other shows.
Yeah.
The same one, canonically speaking.
And actor speaking.
Yeah, actor speaking too. Luna Nimoy, inspiration.
All right.
What are you doing?
R.I.P.
Of course, you are fidgeting with that stuff.
It's just fun.
Adrian, you're way too much ADHD for this. In the original timeline, by the way, that same event is also portrayed, and it actually becomes one of the bases for the plot of Star Trek Picard, who, in its immediate backstory, the Romulus supernova happens. And it actually creates the fact that Romulans, as people, are now displaced people and refugees.
Interesting.
And are dispersed. The Romulan Empire doesn't exist anymore. And one of Picard's conflicts is trying to basically, speak in favor of the Romulans and actually doing stuff that will help the Romulans.
That's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is something that is addressed. So they're part of the same multiverse.
When you say Nero, I just remember that one shot in the trailer where he's like, fire everything! And it's like, like in the 2009 trailer.
I don't remember that
I
trailer.
remember that trailer because I really liked that trailer when it came out. I was like, that's a
Interesting.
good trailer.
You know what trailer I really liked?
Which one?
It's probably gonna be very weird. Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen trailer.
That's a really good trailer.
I
I'm not
just
gonna lie.
watched it like so many times. I was a little stupid kid just watching that so many times. The movie's kind of mid. Gonna say I do like the first Transformers.
Oh, the first one is the first one's amazing. The first
the
one
third.
is the first one's a modern classic.
Okay, and the third is my guilty pleasure.
I
Personally.
don't remember much of the third.
Dark of the Fallen. I like it because it has Shia LaBeouf. Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf. Whoever gets that reference.
And then the fourth one we don't speak of.
What fourth one?
Exactly. And then the fifth one we
What
don't
fifth
speak
one?
of.
What fifth one?
And then the sixth one we do speak of because that's
Yeah, because
Bumblebee.
Bumblebee's a fucking masterpiece.
Bumblebee is
amazing.
great. I have not seen Beast Wars yet.
Rise of the Beast.
Rise of the Beast.
It is for me.
I mean, I have Paramount. I just haven't seen it.
For me, it was a disappointment. I didn't like it. I felt like, I don't know, it was like a missed opportunity. The scenes in Peru, though, are cool as fuck. And I'm not saying because I'm biased.
You're biased.
I really like them. I really think that the Maximals were the highlight of the movie, and I would love to see more of them.
I'd be interested in watching it.
Yeah, but this is not Transformers episode.
No.
This is a Star Trek episode. So yeah, basically, Adrian, you've mentioned episodes that you really like.
Yeah.
You mentioned the Traveler episode, whose name I don't remember. Its name. You mentioned the other episode with like the people, all of them dressed very horny.
Yeah, there's that one.
And they were like, trying to kill Wesley.
Yeah, it was super freaking interesting.
I don't remember his name either. I'm gonna talk about my personal favorite episode because even though Deep Space Nine is still my favorite one of the shows, my favorite episode in all of Star Trek, and not only is my favorite episode in all of Star Trek, it is probably one
Enterprise.
of the... We don't talk about Enterprise here. We don't talk about Star Trek Enterprise. I have my reservations with Star Trek Enterprise. I also have my reservations with Star Trek Voyager, actually. I do like Voyager. I don't think it lives up to Deep Space Nine name. And it is a shame because it suffers from that. The previous entry was so good that the latest one cannot live up to its name. Like, if Voyager would have come out right after the Next Generation, I would have been like, you know what, this is good. This is a nice
Yeah.
development. Because it came out after the
Space
absolute
Nine.
masterpiece that DS9 is. I cannot but look at it like kind of, damn it, this is not as solid as what could have been.
Yeah.
It also sometimes feels a bit longer than it should.
Book of Boba Fett.
We don't talk about Book of Boba Fett. This
There we go.
also. The Book of Boba Fett.
Star Wars Resistance.
What? I genuinely haven't watched that one. That's the one I haven't
Bad
watched.
Batch Season 2. I'm just labeling different
Bad
sci-fi
Batch
things
Season
just to
2
get them
is-
on different tangents.
Bad
and see if
Batch-
he notices.
Bad Batch Season 2 is way better than Season 1.
I have
by
not
the
seen
way.
season. I've only seen season 1.
I really like Season 1. I feel the character was really good. I think that Season 2 is way better. Season
Okay.
2 also has like moments that genuinely made me cry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Then we gotta watch the Tigger movie so I can watch you cry.
We were just watching the Winnie the Pooh 2011 movie today, and
I love Winnie the Pooh.
I was just same, and I was just mentioning how the Tigger movie makes me cry every single goddamn time. I cannot watch that final scene of they all get together and Christopher Robin takes a picture and then the guitar strings start. I'm
doing this on purpose. I'm getting him off track on purpose. I'm here just like, I have done it.
You're
And I'm here to
weaponizing.
keep you on track.
You're weaponizing neurodivergency against me, and you are doing a good producer job. Thank you so much.
Well, you know what? You know how Winnie the Pooh connects to Star Trek?
It doesn't, but
No, it does.
Care Bears does.
No, I mean, Care Bears does. And
That's right.
VeggieTales also connects to Star Trek.
Wait, VeggieTales also has a Star
It has a
Trek
Star Trek parody episode in one of its first episodes. I mean, it also has one in its later episodes, which is way more Star Trek. I feel like that might be Next Generation a little bit. I haven't seen it because it's when VeggieTales started going downhill and everything. But in their very first episode, they had a giant ship which was a pie, and it was shaped as the Enterprise, and they learned to like accept others, even though they're weird.
Beautiful.
Because they had to go out and eat a giant meteor that was the shape of a popcorn.
People that grew up with VeggieTales, I'm pretty sure you appreciate this moment. I didn't. but cool. Cool,
Yeah,
I
the whole
guess.
Big Details episode.
Cool, I guess. I gotta admit, I've seen some of the song music videos because this guy has showed them to me, and they're weird. But I see the the hook for some people.
Okay, never mind. It was more VeggieTales stuff,
Weird.
but we don't need to talk
Okay.
about it.
Care Bears also has a Star Trek parody.
Oh yeah, I remember.
I haven't seen,
seen it.
Care Bears beyond like a few episodes that I watched on Boomerang when I was a little kid.
Boomerang!
That is what I watched of Care Bears. But I know because of a post in Tumblr that there was like basically 8 episodes dedicated to a Star Trek parody in the final season of Care Bears,
Nice.
which is impressive.
Nice.
Very impressive by itself.
But yeah, Star Trek is awesome.
I just remember that Teen Titans Go also has a Star Trek parody that doubles also as a Star Wars parody. Because Robin is trying to make it Star Trek, so they like have the ship like in the Enterprise shape, but then Beast Boy and Cyborg are trying to make it Star Wars. And every
don't remember this episode at all.
every opportunity they have, they try to characterize as Star Wars instead, and they try to resolve everything by blasting it with lasers. Whereas Robin is like, no, it's actually dialogue and stuff. But the shit is like when Beast Boy and Cyborg are trying to shoot stuff, they should actually be talking. And when Robin actually tries to dialogue with people, he's actually dialoguing with Darkseid. So it's like they should be actually shooting at it.
Yeah.
It's Teen Titans Go is actually very fun.
Teen Titans Go or Teen Titans?
No, Teen Titans Go.
Oh, it was Teen Titans Go.
Yeah,
That's
no,
why.
no, the original one does not have.
Okay, because I was about to say, like, I was like, when did that happen in the original show?
No, that's Teen Titans Go, which is first season struggles, but afterwards
No, I will.
think
I
has a
will say
better
I know
rhythm.
people really rag on that show, but there are moments that like sometimes like it just come up and I just watch it, and there are moments where I legitimately like ugly laugh.
Meta humor is my humor.
I laugh so hard my abs hurt.
Meta humor is my humor, and Teen Titans Go is full meta humor. And I know that my producer is looking at me angry. So I'm actually gonna connect that with the fact that Lower Decks is a thing. Star Trek Lower Decks for the uninitiated is an animated show. It's actually the second animated show in Star Trek. It's not the first one. The first one being the TAS, Star Trek the Animated Series, who was supposed to fill in the gap after the cancellation of the original series, was supposed to continue the story of it. Its canonicity has been debated for a while, but basically Lower Decks has made it canon because of the amount of references and stuff that is to Star Trek TAS directly.
Okay.
And also in an episode when they time travel, now they have like the Star Trek TAS style of animation.
Oh, cool.
Which is pretty cool. Lower Decks is an animated series that is pretty much a comedy. It was actually inspired by an episode of TNG that is called Lower Decks.
Oh, cool.
It is an episode in TNG that focuses not on the main cast, who are the bridge crew, but on the Lower Decks cast. Basically a group of ensigns and their everyday life. And we get to see the ship and its inner works from their perspective. It's an episode that is filled with humor. The entire premise is very humor-like, but it's also an episode that's very emotional, very poignant, in the sense that this is what all these people, all these red shirts and, everything around actually go through. And the creator of Lower Decks were like, I don't remember his name. Alex Kurtzman, I believe. I'm not going to actually...
Of the show?
Of Lower Decks, yeah. Of the
Okay.
show. Saw the episode, I remember that in an interview, saw the Lower Decks episode, the original one in TNG, and was so inspired by a show that would focus on not on the bridge crew, but on the lower guys, on the lower guys in the hierarchy, that he wanted to develop a full show that was centered around them, which I think Star Trek Lower Decks does really well, particularly season 1, who is the one that is most about the actual Lower Decks scenario. I find Lower Decks hilarious. I also find it very interesting as a concept because Lower Decks derives most, if not all of its humor, from Star Trek references. It is a show that, as I have said before, you're gonna drive me crazy with that thing. As you're gonna drive me crazy with that thing. He can't stop fidgeting, by the way.
I like to drive him crazy.
No, you just like to fidget.
I mean, if I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
As my mom says, take your balls and fidget with them. That's a legit quote by my mom, by the way. Mom,
Seriously?
mamá, te voy a hablar español esto porque esto es lo que das a entender. Le acabo de decir, agarra tus bolas y juega con ellas. Lo que siempre me dices, te amo mamá, eres la mejor. So, please take your balls. Or I will. So, Michelle. Michelle doesn't know how to censor this anymore. She's crying. I try to make my producer cry in every episode. So, Lower Decks, I don't think it's a show that can be seen by non-fans. Because I don't
If you're a
think...
non-fan, watch it.
okay, you know what? Watch it and let me know what you think. But I don't know, because basically all of its humor derives from more Star Trek references. It's a very meta fictional, because it's not only Star Trek references like the fictional Star Trek, and it's not like the obvious ones. They go very obscure. They go with stuff that is purely fan service. They go with meta stuff. And I just love it, because it shows that there is such a community of fans behind Star Trek that a show that aims only at that community can actually be successful. Successful enough to, like, already has 3 seasons, and it has a 4th more, like, has been greenlit. It expands the universe a lot. It treats Star Trek with respect too, which is very important. It is a parody that actually loves itself, that actually sees what came before in a love letter form, and it's still trying to make fun of it, to poke fun of it, because how can we not poke fun at such hammy concepts? That is something very important for fandoms, I think, which is a lot of fandoms try to take themselves very seriously. Star Wars try to take themselves very seriously and try to take everything that they have as a very serious, like, oh, this is like almost religion, this like this dogma thing, the canon, whatever. And as someone that belongs to one of those fandoms, I don't see why that should be the case.
Yeah.
A fandom is something that you are, like, it's people that like something that's entertaining.
Yeah.
That something entertaining can have very deep value, I think, can have very real value to people.
Oh, yeah.
That is not not happening. That happens, absolutely. That can absolutely change your lives, make you a better person, or do whatever, teach you lessons, But that doesn't mean that it's not a fictional piece of media that is designed to entertain people. And I think that because it is entertaining, because it is funny, by its mere definition, it should be funny, it is okay to poke fun at that kind of stuff. And I think the Star Trek fandom, even though I have seen some more toxic elements in the Star Trek fandom, some more gatekeepers, as far as I can see, at least, they're usually the minority. As far as I can see. And I think it has to do with the fact that Star Trek, it is very explicit in the values that it's trying to portray, Like, where Star Wars basically has the same values, in the sense that Star Wars is also all about inclusivity. It's also about, there are some shows that even like are way more overt about that, like Andor.
Andor is a masterpiece.
Andor is a fucking masterpiece, by the way, who is a very explicitly anti-fascist, anti-imperialist, authoritarian show that was all about personal representation, that was all about the marginalized, the others. That was very much about class warfare in the Star Wars empire, in the Star Wars universe. Or some other shows and some other episodes, some other movies in Star Wars that also deal a bit more with, the colonialism, the imperialism, that put together the people that are seen as the weird.
I mean, literally, the whole like prequel trilogy in itself. Obviously, it's Anakin's story, but behind that, it's literally all about someone becoming that authoritarian dictator.
It's a very politically charged franchise.
So when people say keep politics out of Star Wars,
Yeah,
it means you take politics out of it, it means you don't even have Star Wars.
Have you even seen A New Hope, bro? Have you even seen A New Hope?
Gosh,
but
my nose has been itching.
Oh, take it there.
No, continue.
Okay, well, whatever. Thing is, Star Wars, even though it's doing all of that, I think a lot of the people that watch it kind of miss the point, because they don't evaluate more than that. It doesn't go, thank you, producer. It doesn't go, it's not that they don't go. It's like, it is easy to lose all of that nuance in pretty lightsaber battle and power rankings, Oh, Jedi versus Sith, who wins? The versus stuff, for example, I'm kind of tired of. Or the Empire were actually good guys kind of people, which are scary and a red flag, Please don't be one of those guys. Whereas Star Trek is trying to be way more overt with values that it's trying to portray. Like, Star Trek is all about diplomacy, it's all about solving things with peace. Even in Deep Space Nine, that pretty much tells the story of a war, it's still trying to tackle with those concepts. And I think that is great. And by the way, just as a little parenthesis, before you guys come at me, this is not a diss on Star Wars. I grew up with Star Wars. I love Star Wars. And I think that even the stuff that like they're putting out right now, I am very hyped by it. It's not that
honestly, I'm liking Ahsoka. I'm really liking it. I just really bad with watching shows.
He's really bad at that. I really like what they're putting out right now. I don't think it's bad. I just wanted to portray that as a difference, because at least with the fandoms, you can very easily see like how sometimes the Trekkies are way more inclusive, are way more accepting, less gatekeepers. Even, again, there are, but
Yeah.
they're not as overt or as at least as famous for that as the Phantom Menace
Yeah.
is. And I think that's something to be addressed, honestly.
Last thing I'll say is when we're filming a movie, we're filming Every Last Drop. If it's not already on our YouTube channel, it will be soon.
Every Last Drop by Michelle Cassidy.
Michelle Cassidy. We were talking to
Jonah?
Jonah. For some reason I want to say John. I knew that was wrong. Can
Jonah-
you please edit that part out so I knew his name?
Jonah Schmidt was our gaffer.
Yeah, he was our gaffer.
For Every Last Drop shoot.
And we just started talking about Star Trek.
By the way, Jonah, you're the GOAT.
You are freaking awesome.
We love you.
You're amazing.
Good thing.
But we just started talking about Star Trek, and I remember when you were like, "Oh yeah, Deep Space Nine," and then he was like, "Come here, come here." And
That was beautiful.
And I was just like, "This is what fandoms do,
Which actually takes me back
or
to...
what it should do. Bring
takes
people
me-
together."
Takes me back to like the beginning of this tangent because I was about to mention my favorite piece of sci-fi media ever, who happens to be an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation. Because I also mentioned it to Jonah. Now you said, I also was like with Jonah, this is my favorite episode ever. And Jonah was like, yes. And we also mentioned other ones that are like probably the top ones. A lot of people mentioned In the Pale Moonlight, from Deep Space Nine as one of the best. I personally love it. I don't remember the name of the episode of the son of Benjamin Sisko when he grows up, which is also amazing. But those are, even though they're some of my favorites, my actual favorite episode of Star Trek ever has to be The Inner Light.
Oh, the song. That's a good song.
I've shown him the song, the flute song of The Inner Light. He hasn't seen the episode. I want him to naturally get to that, which is probably going to take 10 years in Adrian's time. But The Inner Light is not only one of the best Star Trek episodes ever, if not the best, but it's, for me, some of the best sci-fi I've ever seen. Why? Because it's such a simple concept. Again, I'm not going to spoil, but it's such a simple concept that just resonates so much to the human condition. And it's an episode that for me summarizes what sci-fi should be. Because again, as I was saying at the beginning, even though sci-fi is about the future, it is really about the present and about our current conflicts, our current themes and worries and what is going through our minds right now as we speak. The best sci-fi is the sci-fi that feels more contemporary. And I think that is what makes The Inner Light amazing, because Inner Light is basically a portrait of the human condition itself. It looks at what it means to be human, which means we are born, we grow up, we have lives, regular day-to-day lives. Some of us have children, some of us grow up to study stuff, to create stuff, and then we grow old, and then we eventually die. And then we are forgotten, because there's going to be a moment, post-mortem, in which there's no one alive that is left to remember us.
Remember me.
If you want to go Coco, that is pretty much it. And The Inner Light tackles that. The Inner Light is about what it means to be a human, in the sense that the primal anxiety of being forgotten. Mm-hmm. And it captures it in such a beautiful way. In basically, it doesn't matter if you die and you're forgotten. It matters that you existed. Mm-hmm. It matters that you were here during a brief period of universal cosmical time. You were here. And that matters. And that is the message of The Inner Light as an episode. And it makes me ugly sob every time I see it because of how beautiful it is. It is my favorite piece of media ever, and I think is the reason why Star Trek is Star Trek. And I think it summarizes Star Trek really well, because Star Trek is about the human condition. It's not trying to be a realistic sci-fi. It's not trying to be about science even. Even though its themes have a lot to do with science and progress. It is trying to be, this is what we are right now, and this is what we can be if we work together for this. And I think that the message of Star Trek is the most poignant, or one of the most poignant, that any franchise of entertainment, of mass media entertainment, can create. And I personally love it for it. Anything you'd like to add to that?
You nailed it on the head at the end. Like everything you said was perfect. And
Well,
I think what I have is very limited. So yeah, Star Trek's freaking awesome, man.
Star Trek
And
is
I can't
freaking
wait to watch more.
Everyone, please watch Star Trek. This has not been a paid collaboration.
Watch Star Trek.
This is just us geeking out about something that we love.
Star Trek.
So please, if you want, you should go watch Star Trek. It's on Paramount Plus, the entirety of it. It is worth it. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. Sure, like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Please make me have a reason to actually burn that baby. Like and subscribe, and see you soon.
Bye.